The internet is a vast ocean. Most of us stay on the surface. Social media, news, entertainment. We surf the waves of the visible web. But occasionally, something washes up from the deep, something that wasn't meant to be seen. In 2009, a user on Reddit began telling stories. They seemed harmless at first, tales of an old man, a life lived hard, and wisdom passed down. But when that user died, they left behind a digital breadcrumb trail that led to one of the most disturbing rabbit holes in internet history. It involves a hidden website, encrypted military codes, an assassination in a Dubai hotel room, and a group of people who fix problems permanently. This is the story of Lake City Quiet Pills. Our story doesn't start with a crime scene. It starts with a Reddit account. The year is 2009. The subreddit is r/jailwait, a now-banned controversial corner of the internet. But among the chaotic noise of that forum, there was one user who stood out. His handle was ReligionOfPeace. He didn't post the usual trash. Instead, he posted stories. He wrote with the voice of a man who had seen too much. He claimed to be a U.S. military veteran, roughly 79 years old. He went by the name Milo. Milo was charismatic. He wrote about his garden, his health problems, and his past. He often mentioned a close associate named 26. But one story in particular caught the community's attention. It was the story of the brick in the garden hose. Milo described a neighbor's dog that wouldn't stop barking. He didn't call the police. He didn't yell. He simply described taking a piece of brick, putting it inside a cut section of a garden hose, and beating the dog into silence. It was brutal. It was cold. But it was told with such casual, pragmatic detail that it didn't feel like the writing of an edgy teenager. It felt like the memoir of a man who viewed violence as a tool, nothing more, nothing less. Throughout 2009, Milo became a fixture. People looked up to him. He was the grandfather figure of this dark corner of the web. And then, abruptly, the story stopped.
On July 14, 2009, a new person logged in to the ReligionOfPeace account. They claimed to be Milo's grandson. They posted a somber update. "I am posting this on behalf of my grandfather. He passed away yesterday. He wanted me to tell you all that he enjoyed his time here." The community mourned. It seemed like the natural end to a digital life. But curious users, grieving their favorite storyteller, decided to dig a little deeper. They wanted to know who Milo really was. They looked at his username, his history, and eventually they found a website that Milo had registered or frequented. It was a website with a strange, poetic name, LakeCityQuietPills.com.
At first glance, Lake City Quiet Pills looked like junk. It appeared to be a defunct image hosting site, possibly for adult content. The design was archaic, the links were broken, and it seemed abandoned. But the name nagged at people. Lake City refers to the Lake City Army Ammunition Plant in Independence, Missouri, the single largest producer of small arms ammunition for the United States Armed Forces. And quiet pills? In military slang, pills are bullets. A quiet pill is a silenced bullet. Why would an old man running a porn image host name his site after covert ammunition? The internet sleuths didn't stop at the homepage. They did what any investigator does. They viewed the source code. And that is where the facade crumbled. Hidden within the HTML code, invisible to the casual browser, but plain as day to anyone looking at the back end, was a chat log. This wasn't code. It was communication. The site wasn't an image host. It was a bulletin board.
The administrators were leaving messages for each other inside the website's structure, bypassing email, bypassing phones. The messages were cryptic. They spoke of parties, dispensing, and transfers, and they mentioned Milo.
One entry in the code read, "Here is to Milo, catching the boat to the west. We will miss you." It confirmed the connection. The Reddit user, ReligionOfPeace, was Milo, the leader of this group. With Milo dead, the hidden chatter revealed a power struggle. A user named Ironhead seemed to be taking charge, but it was the job listings that turned this from a mystery into a nightmare. Deep in the directories, users found file names and text strings that looked like itineraries. They listed locations, requirements, and statuses. Need 4 to 6 heavy labor for cleanup. Party in Europe. Formal wear. The internet began to whisper. This wasn't a role-playing game. These weren't creative writers. The theory emerged that Lake City Quiet Pills was a front for a PMC, a private military contractor, or, more bluntly, a group of mercenaries for hire. And they had just taken a job in Dubai.
To understand the most terrifying piece of evidence in the Lake City Quiet Pills saga, we have to leave the internet and travel to Dubai. It is January 19, 2010. Mahmoud al-Mabhouh is a top commander for Hamas. He is a man who lives in the shadows, constantly moving, constantly watching his back. He arrives in Dubai and checks into the Al Bustan Rotana Hotel. He enters room 230. He never checks out. The next day, he is found dead. At first, it looks like natural causes. But the Dubai police dig deeper. They review thousands of hours of CCTV footage. What they find is a masterclass in assassination.
A team of over 20 operatives had tracked al-Mabhouh. They used forged passports from Europe and Australia. They wore wigs. They changed costumes. Crucially, some of them were dressed as tennis players, carrying large tennis bags big enough to hide equipment, or perhaps communications gear. They moved with military precision. They paralyzed al-Mabhouh with a sedative and then suffocated him. It was a quiet kill.
So how does this connect to a Reddit user and a shady website?
Users monitoring the Lake City Quiet Pills source code noticed a bulletin posted just before the assassination. The bulletin mentioned a birthday party in Dubai. It mentioned specific dates that aligned perfectly with the hit. But the smoking gun, the detail that sends shivers down the spine, was a cryptic message found in the hidden directories regarding the equipment for the job. The message read, "Bounded by identifying markings," in parentheses, tennis. Tennis. The Dubai assassins were caught on camera disguised as tennis players. The logs on the website appeared to show the team coordinating the aftermath. They spoke of funds being transferred. They spoke of passports. Another entry read, "Operation successful. The pudding is in the mix." The timeline was exact. The location was exact. The tennis disguise detail was something that hadn't been widely focused on by the media immediately, yet it was there in the code. The internet went into a frenzy. Had a group of Redditors just stumbled upon the logistical backend of a Mossad hit squad? Or was Lake City Quiet Pills a group of freelance mercenaries hired by a state agency to provide support?
As soon as the connection to Dubai was made public on Reddit and 4chan, the reaction from Lake City Quiet Pills was instantaneous. They knew they were being watched. The grandson of Milo reappeared on Reddit, but the tone was different now. It wasn't the sad, grieving relative anymore. It was angry. He claimed the site was being harassed. Then, the website changed. The hidden messages stopped, the source code was cleaned, and then a message appeared on the main page. We are moving. Within days, Lake City Quiet Pills went dark. The server was wiped, the user accounts associated with it vanished. It was a classic burn notice. They torched the safe house and disappeared into the night. But the internet never forgets. Archivists had already saved the pages. They had saved the image files. Interestingly, when tech-savvy users analyzed the blurred, low-quality images that were hosted on the site, they found evidence of steganography. This is the practice of hiding data inside the pixels of an image. It's a technique used by spies and terrorists to communicate in plain sight. While many of the messages couldn't be cracked, the very existence of encrypted data inside these junk images proved one thing. This wasn't just a prank. You don't build military-grade encryption into a hoax unless you are incredibly dedicated or incredibly dangerous.
So where does that leave us? Over a decade later, 3 main theories exist about the Lake City Quiet Pills. Theory number 1, the hoax. Skeptics argue that Milo was just a creative writer. The hidden code was an elaborate alternate reality game that never fully launched. The tennis reference could have been a coincidence, or added retroactively by a prankster who saw the news. After all, the internet loves a good LARP. Theory number 2, the viral marketing campaign. Some believe this was viral marketing for a movie or video game, maybe a Hitman sequel or a Jason Bourne film, that got canceled. The assets were left on a server and we stumbled upon them. But if so, why has no company ever claimed credit? Why keep the secret for 15 years? Theory number 3, the real deal. This is the theory that keeps people up at night. The theory is that Milo was exactly who he said he was, a veteran mercenary. Lake City Quiet Pills was a bulletin board for a private contracting group. They used an obscure website because it was security through obscurity. They didn't expect a bunch of bored teenagers on Reddit to analyze the HTML of a p.prn site. The timing of the Dubai assassination is too precise. The 2.6 references, the military slang, the operational security, it all fits the profile of a small, elite PMC unit operating in the gray areas of international law.
There is a chilling postscript to this story. Years after the site vanished, a new site appeared with similar coding structures, and Reddit users occasionally receive strange, nonsensical messages that mimic the old LCQP format. Some believe the group didn't disband. They just upgraded their security. They are still out there. They are still taking jobs.
The story of Lake City Quiet Pills is a reminder of the dual nature of the internet. It is a place of memes and cat videos, but it is also a utility grid for the darkest elements of our world. We may never know if Milo was a kindly old grandfather or a cold-blooded handler for assassins. We may never know if the tennis job was a coincidence or a confession. But the next time you browse a broken website or see a user posting strange stories on a forum, ask yourself, are you looking at a glitch, or have you just walked into a room where you weren't supposed to be? If you enjoyed this dive into the internet's dark history, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. I cover the mysteries that the algorithm tries to hide. Until next time, stay quiet